As much as we hate to admit it, the Golden State Warriors don't currently look like they're favorites heading into the new 2024-25 season. Such has become the fate of the most successful franchise in the last 10 years and just barely 2 years after winning a championship. But that's the thing with the Golden State Warriors. There's a reason they have won 4 championships in the last 10 seasons. Never write them off. Even if some of the titles were won by dominance, some like the 2015 and the 2022 titles came out of nowhere, and 2025 might be the same. So, what is the secret for the Dubs to win another championship? Let's be real. In an ideal world, the Warriors would be using the 2023-24 season to fine-tune their rotation, building up that deadly chemistry to unleash a monster playoff run. But reality had other plans. Instead of smooth sailing, the Warriors spent the season glancing over their shoulders at what ended up being a total letdown. Just 2 years after their 2022 championship run, the Dubs found themselves booted from playoff contention by none other than the Sacramento Kings in the play-in tournament. The Kings knocked them out, and the Dubs were left staring at a long offseason filled with big questions and no quick answers. In their final playoff shot, the Warriors got smoked 118-94. However, no other 10 seed has won more games than the Warriors did this year. Unfortunately, that doesn't get you a playoff spot. Despite finishing the season 27-13 in their last 40 games and snatching 17 of their last 22 road victories, they still fell short. That play-in spot might be cursed. No 10th seed has ever advanced from the play-in tournament, and the Warriors were no exception. That wasn't the only L they took. As for the first time since 2011, Golden State is facing an offseason without Klay Thompson rocking the Bay Area blue and gold. Klay, a 4-time NBA champ, packed his bags and moved to Dallas via a sign-and-trade deal. That marked the end of an era. Sure, they still have Steph and Draymond Green, plus Steve Kerr calling the shots. But there are going to be a lot of new faces trying to pull this team back to the Western Conference playoffs after last year's bitter exit. Last season wasn't the first time the Warriors have missed the playoffs in recent years. But in the past, it was because guys like Steph and Klay were on the sidelines nursing major injuries. Last season had no such excuse. Steph and Klay both played over 70 games. So, what went wrong? Let's face it, the core of this team isn't getting any younger. Steph turned 36 in March, but he is showing that he still got it, especially after an impressive showing at the Paris Olympics. But carrying a team solo as he heads towards his late 30s isn't a sustainable game plan. And as for Draymond, well, let's just say he has had his moments, like that time he put Rudy Gobert in a headlock or hit Jusuf Nurkic in the head. Classic Draymond. But when you're constantly sitting out due to suspensions, it's hard to be the game changer the team needs. Klay, meanwhile, was an entire saga on his own. We all know he's the second best shooter in league history. You can fight me on that, but contract issues and those 2 brutal injuries weren't kind to him, and it was clear he's not the same Klay who used to lock down shots night after night. And then there's the rest of the squad. Players like Jonathan Kuminga, rookie Brandon Podziemski, and Moses Moody showed flashes of promise, but they're on a very different timeline from the Steph, Klay, and Draymond trio. It was hard to sync a young, developing core with aging stars who want to win right now. So, what's the big plan for 2025? Well, for the Warriors to make another run at the title, they'll need more than just relying on their past glory. First, getting some fresh legs and possibly finding that elusive balance between their seasoned vets and rising young talent will be key. The Splash Brothers duo is truly done for good, and Draymond, can he stay out of trouble long enough to lead the defense? Only time will tell. It's no secret that the Dubs have dominated the NBA in the past decade, thanks to their dynamic trio of Steph, Klay, and Draymond. Not to mention some solid supporting characters along the way, like Kevin Durant and Andre Iguodala. But let's be real, the dynasty is not looking as shiny as it used to. The Warriors were the team to beat from 2015 to 2019, winning 4 championships in 8 seasons. But now, we're in 2024, and the Warriors are the team everyone beats, literally. With Klay gone, CP3 waived, and missing out on Paul George, the Warriors had to shake things up. They brought in Kyle Anderson, Buddy Hield, and DeAnthony Melton to fill the void. Buddy Hield is a certified 3-point sniper. Since entering the league in 2016-17, he's nailed the second most threes in that time, 1,924 to be exact, just behind Steph's 2,154. He's also dropped 1,295 catch-and-shoot threes, more than both Steph and Klay in that span. Plus, since the 2019-20 season, Hield has led the league in threes made. Pairing him with Steph in the backcourt could get spicy. Kyle Anderson, or Slow-Mo, is surprisingly effective despite his leisurely pace. At 6'9", Anderson is a versatile defender, and last season, he held opposing shooters to a measly 40.7% field goal percentage when contesting their shots, which was second best among over 200 defenders who contested at least 500 shots. De'Anthony Melton is another defensive standout. While he's not going to wow you with flashy numbers, he's been a top-tier perimeter defender. Over the past 2 seasons, Melton has averaged 1.5 steals per game, one of just 6 players to do so. The Warriors are counting on him to lock down opposing guards and keep the defense solid. Those 3 look like a decent addition, but the real question is, are these moves enough to keep the Warriors competitive in the loaded Western Conference? The truth is, the West isn't getting any easier. Teams like the Nuggets, Lakers, and Suns are only getting better, while the Warriors' core is, well, like we said earlier, aging. To win another ring in 2025, the Warriors need a mix of luck, health, and smart roster management. Their 2022 Finals win showed they could still compete, but the key now is staying healthy and integrating these new pieces. Hield's shooting could be the X factor, especially if he can lighten Steph's offensive load. Anderson and Melton need to keep their defensive intensity high, giving the Warriors a chance to win gritty, low-scoring games if necessary. The Dubs might not look like the favorites anymore, but count them out at your own risk. Golden State is playing its cards close to its chest when it comes to its young talent, particularly guys like Podziemski and Kuminga. They are considered high-value assets, so unless there's a blockbuster trade that practically guarantees a dynasty-level future, the Warriors aren't rushing to deal with them. They know that these young guys could be the ticket to another ring, or at least the core of the post-Steph era. With Klay off in Dallas, the Warriors' offense will lean even harder on the one and only Steph. But here's the thing, he can't do it all. Someone else needs to step up, and all eyes are on the 21-year-old Jonathan Kuminga. The pressure's on for Kuminga to have that breakout year, and if last season is any indication, he's on the right track. Kuminga averaged over 16 points per game last season, shooting a solid 52.9% from the field. With the team needing more offensive firepower, there's no reason Kuminga can't up that scoring average to over 20 points per game. Seriously, with his freakish athleticism and growing skill set, this guy could be the real deal. Now, before anyone gets too excited, it's worth noting that the Warriors aren't ready to hand Kuminga the keys to a max contract just yet. The clock's ticking though. The team has until October 21st to figure out whether to give him an extension or let him hit restricted free agency next summer. Kuminga's draft class buddies like Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley have already signed max deals of over $200 million over 5 years. But Kuminga's situation is a bit more complicated. The thing is, Steve Kerr isn't 100% sold on Kuminga's fit with the squad, at least not yet. He's got some holes in his game, especially when it comes to rebounding and passing. Kerr also mentioned that while Kuminga's defense has been good in flashes, consistency is key, especially if the Warriors want to roll out that dream defensive lineup with Draymond at the 4 and rookie Trace Jackson-Davis at center. Here's where things get interesting. Last season, Kuminga set a Warriors record for dunks and got to the free throw line more than anyone not named Steph Curry. His defense may have been hit or miss, but let's not forget that he's still younger than some guys just entering the league. He turns 22 right before the season starts, which means he's got time to develop into a monster two-way player, which is a win-win for the Dubs and Kuminga. Let's not forget about Moses Moody, the other 4-year player on the Warriors roster. While Moody hasn't seen as much playing time as Kuminga, he's still a valuable asset. Moody might be playing the long game here, waiting to have a breakout season on his own, bump up his value, and see what the market has to offer next summer. There are the main leaders in the Warriors map. At 34, Draymond's still locked in for 2 more years of his 4-year, $100 million extension. He's still one of the best in the league in his position, and even though the Dubs can't always count on his availability, he is still one that can help the team push for another title. As for Steph, he signed a one-year extension this summer, and no one can really imagine Steph in anything but blue and gold. Steph's future as a Warrior for life is secure. If anyone thought his prime was behind him, his 36-point explosion against Serbia in the Olympic semifinals probably had you spitting out your words. He followed that up with 24 points and 4 daggers from deep in the gold medal game against France. Yeah, Steph's still that guy. He's still one of the top players in the league, no doubt. At least for another year, he's carrying the Warriors on those magical shooting shoulders. With all that Steph's done for this franchise, you'd think they'd do better by him than letting talent walk out the door for, well, not much in return. If there was ever a time to rebuild around Steph and give him a squad that can actually contend, it's now. The Warriors do have some promising young players and future first-round picks, but they'll need more than that to stay in the race. Big names like Paul George and Jimmy Butler were linked, but PG has gone to Philly and Butler is looking unlikely. What about a certain James Harden? Okay, I know this sounds like one of those numerous rumors, but it's one of those deals that can really put the Dubs in the championship map. Now, Harden may not be the MVP Harden of years past, but the man still has court vision and shooting that can make a difference. He's got baggage, sure, and he can't even be traded until December 15th, but the Clippers are, well, let's say they're not exactly set up to rule the West post Paul George and Westbrook. If they're floundering mid-season, Harden might just be on the market. Now, Harden and Steph on the same floor is a backcourt that could light up any defense. With those two masterminds on offense, the Warriors could easily return to being one of the most dangerous offenses in the league. If the Warriors want to make one last big swing while Steph's still playing at an elite level, they've got to bite the bullet and take some risks. Sure, they might end up paying for it down the road with salary cap issues, but when you've got a player who's increased your franchise's value by billions of dollars, don't you owe it to him to go all in for one last ride? Another unlikely and huge shot for the Dubs would be bringing Kevin Durant back to the Bay Area. Even just saying it sounds far-fetched, because this next idea is a wild ride reuniting with KD for another championship run. Sounds crazy, but it sounded equally ridiculous when KD actually joined the Warriors in 2016. And look how that turned out. 3 NBA Finals appearances, 2 titles in just 3 seasons. The Warriors front office is at least considering the idea, and KD is on the Warriors' radar for summer trade possibilities. But for a Durant reunion to even be a possibility, the man himself would have to demand a trade out of Phoenix. Not super likely, right? Well, history says otherwise. KD's been known to change scenery more than most NBA stars. Now, if this does become a reality, the Warriors would have to go all in. And by all in, I mean breaking open the bank. They'd also have to offload basically everything in their asset stash, as this would be a win now or bust situation for Golden State. And if you're wondering why the Suns would even consider trading KD, well, they need win now talent in return to help out Devin Booker. So this would be a 3-team deal at the very least, with Golden State shipping out its future for a chance at rekindling the fire with Durant. Is it far-fetched? Absolutely. But this is the NBA, where stranger things have happened. The Warriors have proven they're willing to make bold moves, and if it means adding another chapter to the Steph Durant dynasty, maybe they'll be willing to take that massive swing. After all, championships don't grow on trees, and Steph's not getting any younger. So, do you think these factors can help the Dubs win the championship in 2025? Or is there anything else they can do in order to make that happen? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And check out this video.